You good?
I think so.
How you been?
I'm good. I feel like it's nice to be done with the tour, but I'm also going through a little bit of the first 3 days. You're like, this is incredible. And then you're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing?
You have you're not retired from music all the way, right? Like this is your announcement that you're done.
No, I'm not. But I feel like I mean, this is probably a conversation for real life. I feel like I'm always trying to figure out what I want it to look like. And I have the symphony shows after this, but not, it's not like, and my next huge tour.
What do you mean look like? Like the perception of the artist, Ben Rector?
I'm sorry, I'm fixing this mic stand. I probably shouldn't be doing that. No, how I define success, what I want my life to look like, which is too big of a question. And Hillary at this point is so patient, but always like rolls her eyes. She's just like, you can do whatever you want to do.
Did you know, I didn't know this. You may have known this. Did you know sometimes our wives escape to talk about us?
That's exactly right.
Did you know that?
I mean, a little bit. I don't know the extent, I don't know.
I only heard about it like the other day.
Hillary's probably just like been so great. That's what she says, right?
I think when they compare us, they compare how great we are.
Who's better? Who could say?
I literally didn't know that. I know that my wife adores your wife way more than I adore you, so that their friendship is natural. But no,
it's really pretty funny.
They had been, and my wife doesn't tell me anything because I'm sure whatever they say for each other
in
and
confidence.
support.
Yeah.
But I think there's probably some neuro tendencies that we both have that they can talk about, and the other person at least somewhat relates.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I mean, Hillary tells me everything, but I'm
you know what? Good.
She doesn't.
Good.
She's mentioned that they've connected on that, and that's been good. I think it is good. I feel like we're both a little bit odd, people.
Yeah. By odd, you mean extremely good looking.
Just hot.
Yeah.
People are always telling me that, man. I'm
I would say it's a mixture. I'm going to speak for me and possibly you. I would say it's a mixture of, for me, not understanding really where balance ever is.
Mm-hmm.
And then the line of extremely secure and wildly insecure and not knowing where that ever is.
Definitely. I think that's exactly right. I think also the spice of like it being a public job is sometimes lonely and probably maybe, I don't mean to be like it's unique, like special, but maybe more unique than a guy who's like, I'm a lawyer and I work too much. Like there's other stuff kind of like tangled up in it sometimes maybe.
That like a solo identity, meaning you're the only Ben Rector.
I don't know what I meant by that. I think there's weird stuff that comes along with it. There's like weird side dishes that maybe don't happen with other meals.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say in the same way that my friends that are professional athletes that play solo sports are way nuttier than my friends who play on teams.
Yeah, very fair. Very fair.
One of my dearest friends, Andy Roddick, is a tennis player. One of the greatest guys, but out of his skull, right? Like because everything's on him.
Yeah. And the kind of person that self-selects into that and then continues to self-select into that is pretty specific.
Yeah, he chose and continued to choose to grind away. So everything's good and bad. It's all on him, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's different than a buddy that plays in the NFL and has it 1 of 11.
Yeah.
That's back there.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you say you're coming off tour and you're figuring it out, so what is it? I still don't know what you meant, like how it's presented.
I'd say, to use a workout analogy, it feels like when you're doing a tour or making a record or whatever, you have like a trainer that's like, this is exactly what you do. You don't have to think about it. And it's challenging, but there's not a lot of brain power expended on like, what am I doing actually? Or like creatively, what am I doing? And then when you're done with that, because when I'm on tour, I'm always like, man, I'm ready to take a break. Because it is a grueling thing. But there's a part of you, that when you're done with that, it's sort of like, okay, now what do you want to do? And you have to make it all up. And I think, as you were saying a little earlier, like I feel like I'm always like trying to find balance, and my brain doesn't help me do that very well because like anytime I'm like, I'm going to find balance in this way, it's like you're being lazy, or you're being whatever. And I think at this point, I'm like, oh, I'm not, 21 anymore, and I want to see my kids and having some semblance of a normal life. So like, what do I want that to look like? But it's like a big math problem. I don't know how to like really try to solve it.
Have you felt yourself modifying goals because you're not 21 anymore?
Yes. And I'm a bad person to ask about this because I feel like I have such a complicated relationship with things like a goal in like a my job sense. Because I don't know really what's possible as far as like, as much as I want to be like, I'm going to win a Grammy for Album of the Year. My real take is like, I don't know if that's really a possibility for me. I don't think that that's like a thing that is going to happen. And I can feel the Instagram like hustle people be like, not with an attitude like that. It's not. So there's that. And then there's also the part of it that's like, as things have gone better and better, I haven't necessarily become happier and happier. And so I'm like, oh, I want to like round this out with some more balance, but I don't know how to like actually approach that. It's very difficult. And I think I envy people who don't have a complicated relationship with it. People that are just like, I want to drive the sickest car in the world. So people look at me and they're like, what a sick car that guy drives. And I'm like, well, I wouldn't want to drive that car because I wouldn't want people to think, it's just a complex, I don't know. And I just probably think about everything a little too much, but that is a challenge for me. I don't know what is reasonable to aim for goal-wise. And I don't actually know what I want goal-wise. As clear as I can say it, I want to do really good work and be proud of it. That's like the central theme.
If they're on goalposts, how do you know where to kick it, though?
That's the deal. And this is hilarious we're talking about this right now because I feel like I'm literally trying to figure that out. And on every project, we're watching The Last Dance, finally.
The basketball documentary
yes.
from COVID?
Yes.
Oh, cool. There's a show called Love is Blind you should check out, too. Yeah.
We finished The Sopranos.
Tiger King, yeah.
We finished The Sopranos like 2 weeks ago. We went right into The Last Dance. Anyways, a lot of it, is, I'm sure you've watched it, is him like coming up with a game within a game for himself. And I feel like on every project, I kind of do that. I'm like, oh, on this project, I want to do this thing. The hard part now is I'm like, what do I want to aim at? I've done it enough times that I feel like a relatively good idea of what it's going to feel like or be like at the end of it. And it's a very expensive thing internally. Like, it's like, oh man, I'm kind of a wreck for a long time, building this thing. And so now it's like, okay, like, what do you want to aim at? And I don't really know. And I think those goals would be different if I was like, I have a legitimate shot to achieve XYZ goal. I just don't know the Venn diagram of what I actually want and what is possible for me. And it's hard because if you were like, how good do you think your work is? I'd be like, I think it's very good. I feel totally confident in it. But I also think that the way that some typical goalposts look now, I'm just like, I just don't know if that's like a fit for me. I don't know if it's an option for me. And so I think it's like, I don't know if I want to go through the Rocky training montage being like, I'm going to win a Grammy. I'm going to win a Grammy. It's just like, I don't think I'm going to. I don't think I make the right genre of music for that. And that's okay with me. Like, that is all right. And I don't just want it bad enough that I'd like try to, not that I could make this happen, but like be like, I'm going to make the best, I don't know what, classical whatever record to try because there's not a bunch of competition. I'm not going to do that. I don't know. There's a lot of words.
When I mentioned modifying, because you said 21, I feel like the space that I'm in now is where I would just go and do everything if I felt like it was getting me closer to a goal.
Mm-hmm.
But I did everything, and most things did not get me closer to a goal.
Sure.
And I, in the same way, I'm not 28, even 31 anymore. And I've also realized that just doing everything to achieve something really, most of the time, doesn't end up in the way that you'd like it. So why am I wasting so much time and energy? So I've started saying no to a lot more things. And it's kind of cool, but now I feel like I'm saying no to too much. It's like, no. But I'm only doing it because I've done it not wrong, because I've learned.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a lot of things. I'll give you an example, and I can talk about this. I've not talked about it, but I had mentioned on this podcast probably a few months ago that the CCMAs, which is the Canadian Country Music Awards, had asked me to host the show. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, that's cool. I'll go up, get a jacket. It's Canada, and do some comedy and host their award show. And that'd be pretty cool. And we were kind of talking with them. And they were super nice, super cool. I have nothing bad to say about it at all. But they was like, oh, yeah, also, you're going to have a co-host. And it's Thomas Rhett. And I'm like, cool. I love TR. Like, all good. Didn't know I had a co-host, but as long as like TR is going to do his TR thing and I'll do my thing, that's fine. It's all good. And then they're like, well, we need to add a Canadian. And I'm like, well, now it's 3 people.
This
and
is
I'm
a band now.
Right. And I'm like, I don't have anything against any of them. But for me to want to do this and to really do the job that I want to do, I don't feel like I'm going to have enough room for me to not somewhat resent the energy I'm putting into it.
Totally.
And so I was just like, hey, I'm out. And it wasn't any shot, anything negative. It was old me 5 years ago. You know what? I'm still going to do it.
Yeah.
But today I'm just like, you know what? I don't think that's really, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I'm making more of those decisions now because I'm not 21 anymore. Same goals. But I don't feel like I have to run every rat wheel now.
Oh, 100%. And I think like part of me, the miniature game that I'm playing now is like, so to use a golf analogy, you know, like I usually, if I'm putting, I've missed on the high side of the hole. I've like done too much. And I've always been like, oh, I need to like change that a little bit.
That's a good
so
analogy.
for the first time, I'm like, you know what? If I miss this putt, I'm going to miss on the low side of the hole.
Someone just emailed. Oh, it's God. He says, good job, Ben.
Dear Ben, I'm really proud of you.
God at God.com.
God at God.com?
He emailed perfect
no
time.
way. He
Yeah.
got God.com in.
Yeah,
That's
it's
sick.
crazy.
He got early. He was early on
Yeah,
that.
he was early.
Yeah, I want to start to miss a little bit. Like I have done that some, but not really. I usually am like doing too much. I was asked to do some shows for the Navy in Japan. Like it would have been in a couple days, maybe a couple weeks. I don't know. And I was like, I don't know. It's pretty sick. It was like good money. I've always wanted to go to Japan. Hillary was great. She was like, I mean, I feel like maybe you should do it, but it's 2 weeks. And I was like, I just don't think I should do it. Had this tour, have the symphony shows this summer. And it's just been a minute since I've been like, I'm just like a normal guy hanging out. This is great. So I said no to it. And I really didn't know if that was the right decision, but I remember talking to Hillary. I was like, I want to miss on the low side of the hole for the first time in a while. I want to feel what it's like to be like, oh, I should have done that. Because I feel like I've almost never done that. I've always been like, ooh, this was too much. And to me, I'm like, well, the small game that I'm playing now is like miss a little bit on the low side. Just see what that feels like.
Why do you think you can't win a Grammy?
I think the style of music that is popular. So like, I feel like the music that I make now sounds like, or is most like what pop music was maybe like, I don't know, 15 or 20 years ago. And I think that with the music that I see that's like pop music now, I'm just like, it's not really, it's almost like the genre like scooted over and now I don't totally have like a home. I don't know. I don't see any like people doing stuff like I do, winning awards really. And I hope that doesn't sound like, aw shucks, like that's so sad. It's totally fine. It is just like, it's not really what I feel like is celebrated in a critical sense. And I think, like the music I make is not like going to be like, I'm not going to be a critical darling. Is that the word?
Sure.
Critical darling?
The critics all love you. That would be a critical darling.
Yeah. No, I'm not. That's not really like the zone that I've been in. Yeah, I think it's just like I just don't see a realistic path for that. And I mean, honestly, yeah, it's like it is not pop music. But I think if we looked at like the Grammy nominees, it would just be like, oh yeah, it's not really the thing you're doing.
What kind of music do you do?
I thought about this. I think probably as I would just call it like American music. It's like, I feel like, how about this?
Not Americana.
No.
No A at the end.
No, just like, because think about like James Taylor. If he was 22 right now, it wouldn't really be pop. It's not totally folk. It's not country. It's like kind of just like a mashup of those things. But I feel like, and I'm not saying I make music exactly like that, but I think I don't know exactly what you'd call it. It wouldn't really be alternative. I don't know exactly what it would be. So I think like, I'm not trying to make a new genre here. When I like talk to someone in an airplane, I'll just be like, yeah, it's like kind of like singer-songwriter. It's like kind of pop.
That's a good point. What do you say when someone randomly comes up and goes, what kind of music do you do? My friend loves you.
Yeah, I'd be like, I make I'd be like, it's like singer-songwriter stuff, kind of like pop, but not like
That's
dance
way too many
music.
words, bro.
I know, I'm sorry. That's the issue. So I'm trying American music, I don't know, you know?
I feel though that genres are becoming way, way, way much less of a thing except for financial classification.
Yeah.
Meaning, okay, country. What does that even mean? Who cares except for there are stations that are going to make money. There are platforms that are going to make money by going country, and anything they put into it, regardless of what it sounds like, is going to be that genre, finger quotes, to make revenue until they decide to change it.
Yeah, I think there's like, I feel like there are certain genres that there's like a lot of infrastructure. I think countries like that, Christians like that, like festival-y music, and now I don't know exactly, like kind of Americana stuff. There's like some infrastructure there. I think what's really happened is like pop is, and I'm not an authority on this, but I think like it's become a lot of things. And so it used to be a little more identifiable, and now it's like several genres of music together. And so it's like hard to be like, what is that? Like, I think it used to be like, it's just popular music. And then it kind of had a sound. And I feel like now it's kind of back to like widely popular music, but it's hard to wrap your arms around what makes it that or not. Whereas other genres have very specific boundaries. Like country has like some like instrumental, lyrical, sonic themes.
Sure.
Christian music has the exact same thing. Americana, same thing. I feel like pop is now, it's really hard. If you ask me outside of like artists how to define pop music now, I'd be like, I don't really know how to do that. I couldn't name instruments. I couldn't name song types. It'd be like, whatever. I don't know, you know?
I think I would say pop now is the top 17% of every specific genre.
Totally. Yeah.
You know, what
100%.
the basis of what top 40 was back in like the 60s when they started top 40, which was literally the top 40 songs. It didn't matter what genre it was. If it was the biggest song, rock, alternative. I was trying to think what I would classify your music as if I was to create a new genre.
I think singer-songwriter is probably the easiest
I'm
one.
not going to go with that one. I'm going to go with warm alternative.
Oh, honestly, it's pretty good.
Because
it's really good.
It is definitely not the same as anything else, but you can't go just straight alternative.
No, it's not.
Because your tones, but a warm alternative, dude, that I like. What do? I do warm alternative.
I mean, that's my Twitter bio.
Yeah.
I don't have Twitter. But
What does that mean? Look it up.
Check it
And then
out,
by the time
man.
they look it up, you're gone.
One artist.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter.
Warmalternative.com. It's just
Yeah.
my picture.
It's interesting when you talk about not having a home. You know, when I moved here, because when I was doing pop, this has been 10 years ago. So, but when I was doing pop, I
You
was
were doing pop 10 years ago?
11.
Wow.
Pop and hip hop, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I was too country to do pop and hip hop. We'd play, but it's like now we don't play a lot of music, but the stations that we were on would be pop and hip hop. And so, but I would do, and we'd have whatever, but I'd have some country artists too because I liked country music. But people were like, "You're too country to be pop or hip hop," even though I did sign a 1-song record deal as a hip hop artist. True story.
Is it out there on the net?
Probably somewhere. It's on the internet. Yeah, it's not on Spotify. Thank God. However, when I got country, it was you're too pop to be country. So
Totally.
I never really had a home.
Yeah.
Meaning a place that I just felt welcomed. It almost is where I fall when it comes to politics because I don't say I'm down the middle, but I think if you averaged me out, I'm probably pretty close on average because I definitely have, big capitalist, but I'm like a progressive capitalist. And there are sensibilities I have from growing up in the South with guns. But also it's like gay people, let them have kids. That's awesome. Let them get married. Rock and roll. So when you like equal these things out, it's kind of ish. And I'm not in the middle.
Yeah.
But I don't have a home.
Yeah, totally.
But what I've found is most people don't have a home, but there's not like a central, I don't have a home horn to blow.
100%. I think I agree that most people are there. And I think too, a lot of like what the genres that have infrastructure do well is they kind of like have an offering for people where like if you can be, I think country does this incredibly well. People are like, I'm a country music fan. And it's like, great, we got a bunch of stuff in the country music store. And I think like same for Christian, Americana, et cetera, rap, whatever. But I think what's interesting right now is pop is I feel like it's a little bit more random store wise. I feel like there's not a lot of like
Now it's
genre
like, what
identity.
goes viral?
Totally.
I mean, that's what pop is now. What goes viral?
And I think realistically, that is a part of it. When you're like, oh, why don't you think you could win a Grammy? It's just like I think like the things that I do well don't necessarily line up with virality, because I feel like if you were like describe your music thematically, like lyrically, I'd be like, oh, it's not like sexy, exciting themes. It's like find peace in your life. Good things are like hard. They take a long time. Celebrate the nuances of life. Like, I feel like, I'm not saying it couldn't go viral, but I just feel like that's not necessarily, it's not like not a dessert. You know what I mean?
I have 2 points I want to make. I don't want to forget the second one. So make a note. But the first one would be, you have a lot of stuff go at least semi-viral. That's not even songs that you record for someone listening to your music. Meaning when you do American Airlines, we might crash and you might die because the door just blew off. Whatever. That's not
Those
American
were not
Airlines.
the lyrics.
Sure. But that stuff hits hard.
Sure.
So to say that your stuff doesn't go viral, maybe specific songs, but I think you're a smart enough guy. If you were just going to produce a freaking crazy viral record, no doubt you could do that.
Maybe.
I mean, when you put out Color Out My World, the video,
Yeah.
I haven't tracked your data on that. How is that done? Because aesthetically, like I have like it's like dopamine hit after dopamine hit.
It's really interesting. I think I think the video is really good. I think even that I did like okay. It wasn't like whoa, like blew the doors off. But I think that's what I'm saying. I think the kind of thing that is going viral right now for real, if it's a song, it feels a lot more unpredictable to me. I'm like, I don't know anybody who's been able to game that system. It's usually like retroactive, like, whoa, this thing worked. So yeah, I think the real point, to your point about like, oh, you've had stuff go kind of viral. Yeah, but the hard part is like, it's not really songs or music. It's like an entertainment product. And if you told me right now the whole game was gain as many followers as you could, I know what I would do, but that doesn't flip over into changing my music or like my art really. And I don't know if I want to be an influencer professionally. You know what I mean?
Man, I got like 2 points to bounce off that, but I want to forget my freaking other
Okay,
one.
sorry.
I know I forgot my other one, and I even made a mental note not to forget it.
I know.
With that point, I feel like you're saying you don't want to create your art, and you're separating the two a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I got my point before I get to this one.
Okay.
I got 4 points. I'm lost, but I got this one. And you and I have talked about this away from a microphone and I'd brought up a Grammy. And again, I'll just compare it to me, then you can jump in and say I'm stupid or not stupid. But I always thought I'm going to be a big pop culture expert on mainstream radio, whatever that meant. And I'm going to be so cool being mainstream and know everything that everybody's going to want to have me. Which was...
what do you mean you have me?
Any TV show would
Got
want
it.
me.
Yeah.
I'd be an expert. What I found was that the more I tried to be everything to everyone, and not saying you're doing this, and I'll get to my point, that nobody cared.
Totally.
So here I am. I'd built my own show with my own money. I got 30 markets. I'm in tech. Nobody cared because there were just people that were doing specifically what I was doing way better than what I was doing. But when I was like, hey, let's go to Nashville. There's never been a national show. My contract was up. They had bought my syndication company from me. When I moved here, and all of a sudden, I had propelled to the top of this area. All those people that I wanted to talk to me when I was like, I'm mainstream, all the people in the mainstream were like, oh, we want to talk to the guy that's the expert. But then, so I met them, and then that allowed me to like expand to where I would compare this to, I think this is how your Grammy happens, if you'd like to know.
I'm all ears.
I thought about this.
Okay.
And I was saving it for on mic in case it was just
Sick.
in case it was so stupid. I think your Grammy happens not through here's a record and here's a great song. I think your Grammy happens through I made a great song, Entity A movie, commercial, chair, whomever uses it from that. Charlie Puth, for example, when he did, what Mike, what's the song?
Fast and the Furious song?
Yeah, well, how's it start? It's piano. It's been a lot. No,
Till I see you again.
Yeah, that was a good song.
Great song. We
Yeah.
wouldn't have known it for what it was
Totally.
had it not took a ride with the movie.
Pun intended.
Absolutely. I think that is where your art meets that reward.
Totally.
Because warm alternative only gets you so far.
Oh, warm alternative fans love it.
Yeah.
But in the big bad world, people are like, well, I don't know.
And it doesn't mean your music isn't amazing, but like you said, there's really nothing like it, but there's everything kind of like it.
Yeah.
But when it attaches to something that people freaking love, that personal connection happens, to which song of the year. I think that if I were like a gun to head house band gonna get some stupid accolade that doesn't matter, although
Right,
it does to us, but really, the grand scheme, that would be how it happens.
Yeah.
If they were to go college commercial, where they're flying over campus and playing a song, that would be your song.
Yeah.
But I think that's how it happens for you, in the same way that it got to happen for me in a different scale. It's like I found a new walking partner I felt comfortable with, but didn't change anything that I did.
Yeah, totally. And I think that is true. I don't think I would ever. I think everyone right now, it feels like they're kind of like chasing stuff, and I don't know that I've ever made a great thing from chasing something else.
I don't think you have to chase.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think I would want to make something that is continue to make stuff that's like unique to me, and see kind of what can happen out in the world. And I think that I do agree. I think that's probably the best scenario for something like that.
But that's what happens. That's what happens. Something sees and feels what you're doing. Oh, God dang, this is awesome. Boom. Next thing you know, you're the sweetheart of the Grammys for a year. Then everybody forgets again.
Right.
And then you're like, dang, why did I put so much emphasis on a Grammy? Because I'm the same freaking person.
Right. No. And I think that, but honestly, that is part of it for me. At this point, so many things have happened that I was like, oh, this is never going to happen. That it happens. That the real thing, more than any specific goal, is being like, oh, wait, I see how this is always going to be. Because if you showed me my life to me, whatever, many years ago, 15 years ago, I'd be like, this is unbelievable. Just like you kind of get numb to that stuff. And so that's part of me is just like, yeah, I don't want to, I know I wouldn't chase it, but I don't want to like actually try to be like, well, I know then this will feel different. It's like, no, it's just always going to feel like this. That's what it's going to feel like. And that's okay.
Yeah, I feel that too, but then I get a little excited sometimes.
Oh, 100%. And I think that the proper like heart posture for me, and maybe for everybody, is like, it's like, enjoy the fun stuff. Like and when I get to do a fun, cool thing, I don't want to be like, well, this doesn't matter. It's like, no, it's awesome. But I don't think that it's necessarily going to be like ideal going forward to use as fuel. I'm not going to be happy until I get over this next mountain. Because it's like, well, dude, we're like 15 mountains deep here, and I'm feeling like pretty much the same,
These shows that you're doing with the orchestra, how many people?
Between 25 and 3,500.
No, in the band. That's a big band. The orchestra. If you get 2,500 people in the orchestra,
It's a 2,500 person orchestra.
golly,
I don't actually know. It's a little
that's
different.
like Mr. Beast type stuff.
I bet. I mean, honestly, I bet everybody on stage, it might be like 70 people.
Can you hear if somebody's? I don't know how many horns you have. Okay, if you say you have 3 horns and one of them's a goblet horn, big horn guy here.
Nailing both of it.
If one of the horns is a little off, can you hear it?
It's Cody can hear that a little better than I can. It's easier for me to hear it when I'm listening and not playing. So the way they work is you fly in, and then the day of the first show, you do a rehearsal with the orchestra. And so there's a lot of moving parts there. You're like, I need to remember my stuff and do this correctly. And so on the first run through, if something is bad wrong, if someone hits a like wrong note, I can hear that.
Tempo though, if somebody's a little tempo off, or is that never the case?
No, so that's the deal. That's part of what's fun about it is most people, myself included, for full band shows are playing to a click. So everyone is like supposed to be dialed in. We don't have in-ear monitors at all. We have wedges on the floor, and we can hear the orchestra just
it's
in the room,
envelops you.
which is cool. But it's also like the difference in like running a jet ski around and driving like a huge boat. It's like steering, I don't know, 70 or 80 people. I think it's that many people, maybe more. It's not like you're not like totally dialed. It's kind of like inferred. We're kind of about right here. So tempo is actually a huge challenge because we don't bring a drummer with us. It's just me and Cody in the orchestra.
Do you have to kind of let go of any sort of critique of current while you're doing it?
It is fun because you're kind of reacting. It's like a real time, like, oh, like we're going this direction. It's a little slower than I thought, or we need to try to speed it up. Whereas a normal full band show, everyone's aiming for like perfection. It's like you're a part of a living organism, and you can't just be like, we're going here. It's like, oh, you can like shift a little bit, but you're not gonna like change it totally.
If you were gonna do a podcast, what would you do it on?
I already know the answer to this, and I actually want to do it, but the problem is it's too short. I want to do a podcast called What Do You Eat for Breakfast? And the pitch is, I did this maybe 3 years ago, maybe 4. I had a birthday dinner, and we went around the table, everyone's breakfast routines. And I know all the people there well. And what was really interesting was it's like you don't doctor that up for anybody. Like the clothes you wear are all for public consumption, kind of. It's like, well, this is what I want you to, see my, whatever the boots are called, and be like, oh, those boots, whatever. You do breakfast when no one's watching. And so all of your idiosyncrasies come out, and it's like really quirky and funny. It says a lot about the person. And so if you really dive deep, and like if right now is like, what do you eat for breakfast?
Oh, do it with me.
Okay, great. Welcome to What Do You Eat for Breakfast?
Thanks for having
me,
First
episode.
I'm a big fan.
Oh, big fan of you too. So we're going to go through your morning routine. What do you eat for breakfast? Step by step.
So I wake up very early.
Okay. What time?
3:30.
Alarm?
I have one. I never get to it.
Do you have one set or two set?
2, and then a third like an hour later in case, I don't know, I die.
What's the last time you slept until your alarm?
I don't know the answer.
Okay. The interesting data so far. Alarm doesn't hit. You wake up at 3:30, is that correct?
Probably like 3:27, 3:26. Alarm never hits.
Okay,
Yes.
great. And you get out of bed. Fast forward me to where you're going to eat something or drink something.
Okay.
What is that?
Almost immediately, I walk out, feed the dogs, but then while I'm doing that, I'm planning my meal. There's always a couple options. And I had some overnight oats. I'm trying to lose like 20 pounds in 3 weeks.
What kind of overnight oats? Oats overnight?
Over the night, they oated.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. They're just in a jar.
Okay.
My wife made them.
Okay, got it.
So she'll make like 4 or 5 things of overnight oats, and she'll put like some little berries or something in it. So, but for me, it's about efficiency.
Yeah.
And if they're not there, I will just grab what I can eat quickly so I can get started. But I had overnight oats this morning with a little bit of berry on it, and then I have 2 beef sticks just for protein. They don't always match the palate, but I'll protein before I leave the house too.
How many work days are you eating overnight oats? Is it every day?
Yeah, 5.
Okay, and a beef stick every day also, or is it just any protein option?
Beef sticks are the easiest way for me to remember to do it.
Okay.
So yes, I will say beef sticks because more times than not, unless I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm out of everything, I'll eat cereal, like 3 Wishes cereal with low sugar. But mostly it's overnight oats and beef sticks.
High efficiency. And so how long, you said you're feeding the dogs. Do you drink anything with this?
I make a juice kind of thing with coconut water and then a little bit of pineapple juice and a little bit of lime. And then I put in my AG because I feel like I don't get enough greens.
Yep. I want to try those actually.
So they don't taste good, but if you cover them up with what I'm doing and putting in multi-eye juices like a 12-year-old.
Is it in a blender?
No, I put it in a jar and just shake it.
What kind of jar?
It's a mason jar. We have like 15 of them that rotate.
And is it the 2-piece top?
3-piece. Yeah, top is 2 pieces.
Yeah.
But yeah, 3 pieces total.
I get that.
Where that little flat thing comes out of it. Yeah, so
you put that in, then you shake it up. Ice?
No ice. Stuff's in the fridge. And
What's the liquid
ice
again?
Takes up space.
Okay.
Coconut water.
Okay.
Probably 3/4.
What brand?
I don't know. Whatever was in there.
You really don't know? Do you not pick it out?
No. Sometimes I just order it like on Uber Eats if I'm out. Otherwise, my wife will grab it.
No preference. If you open
no
it up
pulp,
tomorrow,
no pulp, but yeah, no preference.
you wouldn't notice
Wouldn't
if
notice.
I switched it out.
No.
Okay.
Wouldn't notice.
Coconut water, pineapple. What else?
Lime.
Lime.
Yes, that fills up.
Do you have a lime juice or
juice? Yeah, no, not limeade. They make limeade juice, but lime juice.
like the one that looks like a lime? You unscrew the top.
No, that's old school grandma stuff.
Yeah, I know. That's what I thought.
This is in a big jar as well.
A big jar.
Like this big.
Have you purchased it?
I don't go to the store, so I don't.
I'm just saying, has someone made the juice?
No. It's bought. Yeah,
Okay, it's bought.
Lime juice in a jar, like yay high, like I don't know what's this, 8 inches.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. That's probably not 8. That's hopefully it has more than 8. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully it has like 10. But yeah, I would say yeah, that's it. So
okay.
And then I had that for breakfast, and again I eat one beef stick before I leave, one beef stick in the car, and that's breakfast.
Total amount of time from you grabbing the overnight oats to being done consuming food.
Time doesn't factor in because it's easy to do.
If you had to guess.
7 minutes while I'm working.
7 minutes while you're working. What time is that? 4 a.m.?
4:15. Yeah.
Wow. What do you eat on the weekend?
My wife and I will go have like
you eat nice breakfasts.
Yeah, and we'll go and have like a brunch type thing where I think my typical now is potatoes and 1 scrambled egg and 2 pieces of beef down at this place called Urban Market. So
Hillary just told me about Urban Market.
Yeah,
literally.
That's Caitlin's favorite place to go. So that clean. Otherwise, if I don't keep it so regimented, I will eat all sugar. I'll eat cookies for breakfast, so I can't. Because I will eat all cookies. I will eat 10 bowls. I was telling Kevin Klug, our trainer, even if I'm eating low sugar, I'll eat 20 bowls of cereal a week if I just start having cereal. If
you don't like pre-make those decisions, so a day that you go, there's no overnight oats, there's no anything.
Yeah, I go ham.
Then what is it?
It's whatever I get my hands on, and if it's really good, I'm not gonna stop eating it.
Really?
Because I have control on what I expose myself to, but once I'm exposed, I have very much a lack of self-control.
I'm similar. I feel like I can be pretty disciplined, and then if it's like, oops, then it's like,
I can keep sugar out of the house, but if it comes for a visit, it just gets eaten.
Okay, there's no overnight oats. How many bowls of cereal do you think you would eat?
In the morning?
Yeah.
4.
Wow. Real milk?
I would eat the whole box. No,
almond milk?
No, 2% milk. I eat the whole box in one sitting, every time. New box. Gum. I eat the whole pack.
Really?
Yeah, I ate the whole box.
So it's like you got to get those systems in place, and then you're good. But if they're not in place, tough times.
Absolutely. Wow. And that's breakfast to me is like life too. I got to have those systems, and if I'm doing it, I can rock it. But if I'm not, and I'm just kind of floating around, I float hard.
The current gets you.
Yeah. So what's my breakfast say? I'm getting my fortune read, but with my breakfast.
Well, this is the first episode, so I don't have it dialed yet. I think what's interesting though, I feel like every time I've talked to somebody about this, it is like an interesting window into them in some way because since there's not an audience for that, you're just like, I'm doing my thing with no regard for like what anyone would think about this. And I think it's really interesting. I have a lot of similarities to that, but as far as being like, because from what I know of you, I'm like, oh, dude, you're like so with it. So like, you're like dialed. And it is funny to be like, oh, those systems help you. But as soon as like, there's not systems and you're just like free, it's like, ooh, this is like maybe not going to go great. Also fascinating about the alarms, man. I mean, that you haven't needed an alarm in a long time for that early is really something.
I hate it because I wake up 6 times a night. And I got a CPAP because I do have sleep apnea a bit, and that was part of it. But now that I'm sleeping with the machine, I still wake up so like, oh God, am I? It's anxiety, right? I don't have general life anxiety. I don't feel like I have it in the daytime. I think I know people that do have it, and they live with it physically.
Yeah,
I don't, and partially probably because I keep everything going, so I don't have time to sit with it.
Yeah,
and so when I do sit with it, is maybe when I go to sleep. That's kind of when it manifests itself. And also, I can't be late to work.
Yeah.
If I'm late to work, ratings go down, revenue goes down. Then I get fired. Then I'm back to where I started, back at home. Like, that's where my mind goes. And that is not rational.
It's really not.
But you're not a rational person either.
No.
In some way. In certain areas, I very much am so, but not when it comes to that.
That's really... also, 7 minutes is pretty quick.
But what am I going to do?
I don't know. Other people, some people are like, I savor the morning. I don't know.
There's no savoring.
Yeah.
If there's time in the day, that's time for me to get something done.
Yeah.
That's why I feel so lazy when it's like, relax. Oh, it's the worst.
I just think how much have we learned about you just in this little routine? A lot.
Thanks for having me on the show.
I really
it was a
appreciate you
big
coming on the
honor.
first episode, man. This has been great.
It's a big honor to be here. So that's a good podcast, though, because that's really not about breakfast.
And the thing is, I think the episodes would be pretty short, but I feel like every time someone does like a podcast tour, you get some little pieces of the real them, but on some level, like they're always, and the questions they're getting are mostly about things they've put out there about themselves. And dude, how much would you love to know, like Michael Jordan, like, let me just ask you everything you eat for breakfast, because people are so funny in particular when you're like 2 beef sticks. And I feel like I also want to know what the like no brands thing is, because I feel like I would be like, oh, dude, it's got to be whatever, because I
you're
really
like that
like
about
it.
shirts. And
Totally.
I mean, you
100%.
yeah. Where it's like, this one doesn't feel so good on my skin.
100%.
Mine's not about brands as long as it does the job it's supposed to do.
I think honestly that is interesting to me, because you are so specific, but also it's almost like in service of a greater utilitarian goal, because you're like, yeah, I don't know, like coconut water. Where I'd be like, oh, dude, I tried like 6 of them. I really like that one. That's it. I feel like you're like, it's coconut water, man, whatever.
As long as I get from it what I'm looking for. I guess if it's bad and I get sick on it, or I don't like, I really hate the taste, but really it's there to do a job.
Yeah, but I feel like you are, it's interesting. I think that says a lot to me about like how you operate, because I feel like you're not a guy who's super like, I don't know, man, whatever. Like I feel like you are specific and you are driven in certain ways, and it's cool and interesting to me that you're like, but that I don't care, it's whatever.
But I would say it has to be coconut water. It has to be lime.
No,
it has to be.
Dude, some people are getting so in the weeds on random stuff. That's just interesting to me.
Well, this has been. Thanks for having me on the show. Can you come back on my show for a minute?
Well, I guess I can.
Okay, cool. How many of these are they all in theaters?
Yeah,
because
it's usually there's usually like a sometimes it's just a theater, but a lot of times it's like a place that's been built for the orchestra or symphony. I don't really know those terms interchangeably.
Was Cody in your band at one point?
Yeah, we played together for a long time, and he'd always like done artist stuff, and as happens with anyone who's like truly uniquely gifted, I feel like after a while it's like, oh, dude, you got to go do your own thing, because like you're too good to be doing this. But yeah, he started doing more artist stuff, and then had great success with one of his songs on TikTok that he had released. It was like a song that had been out for I don't know how long, and it kind of like went crazy on anime TikTok, and then it blew up. And so
anime TikTok,
I think it was maybe a specific version of anime TikTok. I don't remember which one, but like that was the sort of like silo that it bounced around a bunch. But he's also leaned more into doing specifically orchestral stuff, which I think was a great call for him, because he's uniquely gifted at that.
How'd the song with Haley Witters come together?
Basically, Dan and Shay asked me to go on tour. I said yes, because I was so stoked to get to do support. I haven't gotten to do support in like 10 years because of the genreless thing we talked about earlier. So I was stoked. I was just like pumped to get to be in front of new people and get to do something interesting without a lot of pressure. And they told me that Haley was going to be first of 3. And I was legitimately stoked. Hillary and I both really love her music. And I feel like everybody does that. They're like, I was such a fan. It's like really where I know her, one of her managers well. I've like followed her career. I really like it. And so I was in kind of a season where my game within a game was like, I want to do stuff that sounds fun to me, that's like engaging. And what sounded fun to me was to try to write a song that she would want to sing with me on the tour. Just because I was like, it'd be fun to get to do that. I think she's talented and fun, and that would be just like a fun memory for me. So I wrote, it was one of those weird songs that like came out like so fast. It was just like, blah. And then, so I wrote it with the guy in my band, Austin, and we finished it with a guy named Brett, who had written for her before. And we were all freaking out about it. We're like, this is so good. And she weirdly came into Austin's publisher the next day, and they played her the song and didn't tell me they're going to. Austin was like, I hope that's okay. I was like, well, did she like it? I was like, I don't know. But she really liked it, and everyone was stoked. But that was it.
You play a banjo in it, a ganjo, whatever you want to call that.
Mm-hmm.
for the sake of anybody else, it's a banjo.
It is.
Right? Unless you're in the weeds.
Yes, it's like you're playing a guitar.
Don't insult yourself. I'm not gonna let you do the thing. So just don't do the thing.
Okay, great. Fine.
So you're playing this band. It sounds like a banjo. You're playing a banjo. Did any part of you go, I don't think I should play a banjo because people will think that I'm pandering?
Actually, I was more worried when the song started to get like stuff was happening and people were like, "Are you doing this?" And I was like, I mean, I'm not like gonna say no to this, but I wanted to express where the song came from mostly. So the banjo part, to me, I feel like I'm totally for like being in service of the song totally. And that's what it needed. Like it wouldn't have been as good with a guitar. And in a weird way, I feel like banjo on that song feels more like something that I would do, where it almost feels more like, to me, when I wrote it, felt like a Muppets bluegrass song. It's like Sesame Street. And that is where I was like, oh, this is something, even if Haley had been like, I don't like the song at all, I would have done the song as it was, just without her. Because that part of it, that's the kind of like, yeah, it feels like classic American music. And it definitely, I get that it feels like country also. But I feel like if I turned on Sesame Street and I saw that song, I would be like, yes. And I think it would be worse if it was an acoustic guitar. I'd be like, oh, is this like Hey There Delilah? It's like, no, this is like an interesting kind of like folky. It's just like feels like I remember Haley's husband was like, feels like it's like a standard, like you're covering a song. I was like, yeah, that's what it feels like.
To me, it didn't feel like pandering at all, but just knowing how your mind works, I didn't know if you had been like, this is perfect, and then you record, you're like, oh God, it feels like it could be.
I think because I have like a streak of like wanting to do things for the right reason, because I knew where I was coming from with it, I didn't feel weird about that at all. I wouldn't have been like, ugh, because it was natural. And if someone would be like, doesn't seem natural, I'd be like, well, it was. I don't know what to tell you, you know?
How has it been going with that song and its life in country? I just know from my side, I've been playing it that much. I like the song. And then I saw Anya post that she was playing it, who's a good friend of mine this year. So has it organically just kind of started to get legs?
I think what's been interesting to me is it was received a lot better than I thought it would be, as far as like either industry or on DSPs or whatever. And I think some of that really is what we were talking about earlier with like Grammy or whatever stuff. I think that there ended up being a bunch of people at Spotify or at Amazon or YouTube or whatever. I don't know Anya, but people like that, I feel like there was some general goodwill where it was like, oh, dude, like this is actually really good. And it was met with more like open arms than I thought it would be. And I wasn't like, this has got to like crush and do incredible, but I was surprised at how well it was received. I think there was just a number of people that were like, at like DSPs specifically, because I'm not like going to be on like a pop playlist. I feel like there's a lot of people that are like, oh, like I can help you with this. This is good. And I like your music. So there's more of that than I thought there would be. In 2024, I don't honestly have a great metric for like, is it crushing big? It seems like it's doing pretty good. Better than I thought it would do for sure. But I don't know.
Part of that too is that you weren't going, I'm a country artist now, suck it.
Right.
And I'll include myself in this mix of when people come out and they go, I'm now a country, you're like, prove it. But if they don't, and they're like, I made this song and it is what you think it is, we're like, that's pretty freaking country. That's cool. Because you're not like imposing it.
Right. Well, honestly, what you said with the banjo thing, I felt more like that. There were weirdly a bunch of things that came together at the same time. I felt more like Terry Clark is doing like I forget what it's called. It's like a record of her hits that are all like done with other people. I did that with her at this point. It may have been like 18 months ago. And then before the Haley thing was like, for sure, like this is going to happen. I wanted to release a song before the Dan and Shay tour. And the only song we had that was like done and good from the acoustic tour was the cover of Great Day to Be Live. And it felt like several things came together like really tight. And I felt a little bit like that, even just to my fans, where people are like, are you? And I wanted to be like, I'm not. This stuff just kind of like came together. I felt more like that about that because I didn't think it would all come at the same time like that.
I mean, that's how you accidentally win a Grammy too, honestly. I mean, it is. It's not even about the Grammy. The Grammy can mean anything.
Sure.
But we only have a few minutes left, but I got a couple other things. Would you mind sharing your... I don't even want to spoil who it's about, but I'm going to let you tell the story about how you went to a certain thing and your hero was there and you end up hanging out with the hero all day as he like chased you, he followed you.
Oh.
Can you just tell that story just from the beginning? But
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
This is maybe like the coolest thing ever for me personally. I got to go play at the AT&T Pro-Am, which is like the holy grail of all golf things if you're not a professional golfer.
At Pebble Beach.
At Pebble Beach, yes. It's like on television, all that stuff. And so I initially was going out there. They were like, hey, could you come do some music? Because they have like parties every night. And they were like, we'd love to have you be in the Celebrity Hole-in-One, which is like all the celebrities in the tournament. Jim Nantz announces it, and you all hit like one shot closest to pin. It's like a miniature tournament. You can do that. You can play in all the practice rounds. It felt like that was like a good way for me to like sort of get to know the people that run the tournament. And I was like, well, yeah, I'll go out and play Pebble and MPCC, which is Monterey Peninsula Country Club. It's an awesome course. And I'll do the Celebrity Hole-in-One, and maybe they'll think I'm a good guy and decent golfer and will have me back. They were like, if anyone drops out of the tournament, you can be in the tournament. And I was like, totally. And I'm not great at networking or any of that kind of stuff, but I was like, I really like this stuff. And if nothing ever happened, this would just be cool and fun. So I get out there, I play the concert. It was for the tournament committee, I guess. I don't really remember. And they were like, hey, we think you have a spot in the tournament. Of course, I'm over the moon. And one of my very favorite artists is Huey Lewis. My dad listened to him a lot growing up, and I thought it was like dorky dad music. And then I realized after I grew up, I was like, this is actually like some of the sickest music ever. And so Huey Lewis was going to come back and do one last AT&T, and he hurt his shoulder. And they were like, you're going to replace Huey Lewis. And I was like, oh, that's incredible. That's wild. I feel bad that he's hurt. He's like, but Huey's going to walk with your group. Is that cool? And I was like, time out, what? So basically, I'm playing in the coolest golf thing in the world. It really is. There's not a cooler amateur golf event. And it's basically me and Huey Lewis. Steve Young was the other celebrity. I'm not putting myself in the same category as Huey Lewis and Steve Young, but
do you know Steve Young?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
I now do. I didn't then. He's honestly the nicest person.
Don't talk about Steve Young yet.
Okay,
Go ahead.
right, great.
You'll see why in a minute.
Okay, yeah. Huey Lewis is walking around, and him and Peter Jacobson, who is his pro partner, who's a golf announcer now, was like a dominant golfer in his day. They came back to do the tournament one last time together. Peter Jacobson's caddy was Fluff, legendary caddy. It was unbelievable. And so basically my week was I would hit a shot and then walk down the fairway with Huey and just kick it. I mean, we hung out all day. He came to every round, and I tried so hard not to geek out. Some of his band came. I got to meet them. I did a project.
The News?
Yes.
Wow.
Some of the news.
The News. Wow.
Several anchors. But it was incredible. And he was a gentleman, and he was like my older brother. He was like, oh, let me help you out with this at this tournament, or like, here's the deal. It was the best, man. It was, honestly, I was like on cloud nine. It was the best.
1 year later, smash cut. I was presented with the same situation that you were presented. Come out.
Come on.
We can't promise you a spot, but come play the practice rounds. Come do the deal. And so I go out, and somebody does get hurt, and I'm invited to play, but I got a call from the Grammys going, hey, can you cover the Grammy? So I'm like, oh, what do I do? And the weather was really bad that year.
Yeah.
And I was like, I played the practice rounds. It was awesome. Everybody was super cool. And I really only did it mostly because of your advice. You were like, even if you don't get to play, it's worth it. I didn't fully understand, but I understood that you wouldn't put me in a place where my neurosis could get the best of me thinking I'm not good enough.
No.
Because you don't feel, and I got out there and I definitely didn't feel that. Yep. And so I remember standing on a practice green, and my eyes are just wide open because there's a lot of really like cool to me celebrities.
100%. It's a great collection of those people where it's like, wow, can't believe that. Yeah.
Like played a whole round of a par 3 with Ray Romano. Thought he was hilarious.
Totally.
Josh Duhamel,
Yeah.
super nice guy. But I remember,
Great looking guy.
Yeah, and like gray, but still got it.
Yeah, 100% he's got it.
And I remember seeing Steve Young on the practice green, and he was standing with like 4 other people, and he kind of was holding court.
100%.
Because everybody's like, that's freaking Steve Young.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I just want to get over and say hi. That's all. So I just kind of waddled over and got in the group. And I don't even know what they're saying, but they're like, oh, Steve, that's a good. So they broke the group. And I said, hey, my dummy. I was like, Mr. Young. But I didn't know what do you call Steve Young?
I think it's fair. I think it's incorrect.
Super Bowl MVP, Super Bowl court champion. Yes. Yeah. I said, hey, I'm Bobby. Really nice to meet you. And he said, oh, you're Bobby Bones. He said, I listen to your show all the time. And now I'm like, oh my God.
Wow.
I'm like, but then I'm like, has he heard the name? And that's all. Well, I'm about to follow up with this story.
Okay.
So there's a funny ending. But he's so nice to me that I think, who cares?
Right.
I had a really great one-time experience with Steve Young that I'll never get to have again. I'll never see him again. But that's awesome because I'll hold on to how cool that experience was.
And he is actually that nice.
My one of one, he was super nice. And you say it too, I believe it. So this morning on my show, I was talking about top 5 people that I've ever met and been starstruck by. But I also admit that comes with the caveat of I'm jaded.
Sure.
I get to meet a lot of quote unquote cool people. Some of them ain't so cool. And also you start to see once you're around a lot of famous people that they're just people.
Yeah.
It's hard to ever get. But I go 5-1. Mike, I know number 1 was Adam Duritz, Counting Crows, because it's my favorite band as a kid. Do you know who else was on? But Steve Young is one of them.
Let me pull it up.
I put on the list.
Yeah.
And so, move on with my day. This is this morning. I get a text at like, I don't know, 9:30 this morning from Steve Young. I never gave him my number, by the way. He says, Bob, like, just so you know, I'm not lying. 9:52 a.m. this morning.
That's his picture.
Where did he come on the list?
Number 4.
Okay, so who was 5?
He was like, what's the deal with 1 through 3?
Yeah.
Derek Jeter.
Okay.
He was at 4. Lenny Kravitz at 3. Jim Nantz at 2. And Duritz at 1.
So I said,
This is pretty good.
He said, hey, it's Steve Young. I'm listening to the show this morning, and bam, I hear my name. And he says, I got your number from Steve John. I called him, who's the head of that. And he look at this message he sends me.
100, dude. That's.
And so I reply back, and I'm like, I don't even know what to say back because I'm like, I wanted to make sure he knew he was Steve Young. Like, you're Steve Young. And so we have our little text thing, and he says, love the show, whatever. There's a certain bit he wanted to remind me of. And then he goes, because I was making fun of myself when I went to meet him. I was like, hi, Mr. Young. He said, I first met Carlton Heston way back, and I was starstruck, and then spit out, oh, I loved you in Big Her. So whatever. And that happens, and I'll never text him again. I'm like, that's Steve Young.
Yeah.
It's like Jim Nantz. He's invited me to invite him to come and do stuff or be on the show. I never do.
Yeah.
I would never call him. I would never call him and be like, hey, Jim, what's up? You know the time you told me to.
Same as Hugh Lewis was like, here's my number. I have 0%.
The fact that you gave it, that's gift enough.
100%.
He just texted me 6 minutes ago again. Let me know if I can help in any way. Love what you do.
Will you please tell him I said hi?
We can both tell him. I don't know him well enough, but if you're here, it gives me this real strength.
Oh, Hundo P.
To send a video. Hold on. Hey, Steve, it's Ben Rector. Well, I'm Bobby.
This is Steve. I was trying to tell Bobby what a nice guy you were, and he was like, is he really that nice? And I was like, 100%. And he showed me the text. I was like, that's him.
Yeah, so Ben and I he was telling a story about Huey Lewis, and I said, you're my Huey Lewis. Whole understanding what that means later. But anyway, Ben and I were just talking about you randomly came up.
Truly randomly.
Truly random. And then you just texted me, so I was like, I might as well hit him back. Anyway, I hope you're good. Bye. Should I send that or no?
100%. He is the nicest guy. We've you know me. Huey Lewis gives me his number. I'm not texting him. We've kept up actually. We left the tournament and he was like, we're brothers now. And I was like, wow, I don't know if you mean that. I didn't say that. And then he totally did. He's a really nice guy. Legitimately nice.
And boom, sent it. Okay, I have one final question.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been here a long time. But when you and I, we not first met, we met on an airplane, a Southwest flight, very briefly, standing in line for the bathroom.
Yep.
You remember that, right?
I do.
I can't stop thinking about it. But
I was in such a bad place, man.
you did this show We kind of became friendly. Then we became friends.
Then we got ripped together.
Yes. Then we're jacked. But I don't know the version of you. I've never been a friend with you when you've put out new music. Like I kind of knew you.
Yeah.
I knew you enough to text you and go like, hey, like this record, this is why I feel like some of this stuff is special. But I didn't know you. Like now if you put out new music, it would be a whole different experience for me.
Yeah.
So where are you in that? Because I don't know you in that way.
Yep. Where like
are you making anything new?
Yes. So basically right now, I feel like I'm at the edge of the diving board. I have a collection of songs I'm excited about, and I'm trying to figure out how I want to approach it. Total honesty, a little daunted by the current landscape because I feel like I'm watching everyone just be like, throw their dart at the board, and there's like a billion other darts, and everyone's just like, meh. Not that would discourage me from doing it, but just like mechanically how I'd want to do it. I think probably in my head I was like, I'll get past the Dan and Shay tour and get home and figure out how I want to record it. But I think they're very good songs, and I don't always feel like that. And I think I'm just trying to figure out how I want to like capture them because I feel like more and more you're like, hate to say this out loud, but I'm going to, like, your content kind of is your song. It's like the days of like, do you like this? Well, head over to Spotify, swipe. You're just like, so I'm kind of figuring out like, what do I want to do? What angle do I want to take there? Yeah, that's where I am. I'm trying to figure out how to navigate this current landscape.
So that is a lot of words. And you have a bunch of songs. Do they all? Are they a collection of like-minded songs? Or are they just a bunch of songs that you like?
No, there's several groups, and I'm kind of like, which of these groups feels like it would be fun and life-giving to do, and what would I get excited to like for the next however long be like, this is what I'm doing.
Bonus final question: do you feel at times you're ever too precious about putting stuff out, and that could keep your?
I don't know because I feel like the whole like put stuff out all the time thing is so new, and I think that everyone is like, that's what you got to do to like increase your stats. But I also feel like what's happening now is like so many people are putting so much music out all the time that nobody cares anymore. So I'm like, I don't know, and I will put out probably one song at a time. But I feel like even the internal pressure of like, I released Color Up My World like 2 months ago, like probably got to get something else out. I'm just like, I don't know if, because for me, the bands that I like that do that, I just start tuning it out. I'm just like, yeah, I don't know.
What about a concept EP, total concept EP? That's right up your freaking alley.
Yeah, 100%. Yes, there's one thing I want to do.
Don't spoil it because I don't want to text later going, will you pull that down? So if you say something that you don't think you want to be up, don't even say it because I don't want to text later, and then I'm going to worry about he probably wants it taken down. So don't say it. Just be very vague, and I want to keep us both out of this spinning that we do.
Okay. There's several things that I'd like to do. One of them is a very specific concept that I don't know if it's a good idea, but I think would be, I've never seen anyone do it, and I kind of want to do it. But the world might not need it, you know? They might be like, I don't want to hear a song about blank.
Oklahoma Mandarin. That's what I would think it is. Is it that? Oklahoma Mandarin? The first Oklahoman to do a full Mandarin album?
No.
Oh, because that would have been cool.
You're kind of close.
That would have been cool.
You're
Look,
close.
I think as an artist, you're awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean,
You're
really.
nice. You're
And
nice
I, as a friend, I think you're really good.
Thank you.
You know, it could be better in certain ways.
Couldn't we all be?
But no, I'm really looking forward to whatever it is that you're going to do. I don't even ask you about that stuff. Who has time when you're breathing as hard as we have to with freaking Kevin Klug? But I am putting a pickleball court back here.
Ooh. Is Klug coming today? Is he going to get? He's going to be a hard time for not
put-
working out today.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
100%.
Because you were. That's why I'm going to clear you to go before he even gets here.
I'll wait. He'll be like, Ben, what's the deal?
What is the deal?
The deal is, I hurt my back a little bit. The one time that Eddie and I worked out and you weren't there, basically, I hadn't been for a couple weeks, and we did.
Went too hard?
I was sore for 7 calendar days. We did 1 million deadlifts and Bulgarians. And then yesterday, I had a charity golf tournament, and then I'm going to do a member guest. I leave Thursday at like 5 in the morning.
Where's the member guest?
In San Francisco.
Got it. Well, are you playing golf again? Because for a while I was like, I don't play golf anymore. I just play pickleball.
No, I'm honestly like full on into golf. I'm back. So played golf yesterday. Can't go into not an important tournament, but just like a real tournament, being like, sorry guys, I can't walk. I just did a million
completely
squats.
agree.
Yeah.
But I mean, are you really into golf now, or are you just waiting until pickleball? Because we've been through this, and I was like, golf. No,
I mean, yeah, I'm in a golf zone right
you're
now.
a deceivingly good athlete, which is annoying,
It's really nice of you to say.
and you are taller than people expect. I bet
Yeah.
you get that all the time.
100%. Most common thing people say to me.
I mean, 6'9"?
6'9".
Yeah, at least. Okay, look, we're gonna end this. When you hear Bobby Bones' new podcast, "What'd you eat for breakfast?" Think nothing of it. Think nothing of it.
What do you eat for lunch?
Follow Ben. No, I'm just gonna straight rip it. It's
Okay,
not even
great.
gonna be something I could like use in court. It's
Very
just gonna be
cool.
I stole
100%.
it. At Ben_Rector on Instagram. But what is it on TikTok though?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't have TikTok on my phone. Maybe Ben_Rector.
Who loads it?
My social team.
Got it. Oh, fancy. Ben_Rector. I mean, I have one too, but I just don't.
I know, 100%.
I just don't know.
100%.
Ben_Rector. Check out Color Out My World and the tour dates. Because you're done with Dan and Shay, but now it's a symphony show starting May 10th, 11th, 15th, 16th, all the way through September 7th. I'm just going to read the cities down. Costa Mesa, California, Minneapolis, Atlanta, Nashville, Detroit, Dallas, and from now, that's it.
That's it.
Okay, I'm excited to hear about your concept record. Hope it's like Cowboys.
It's Cowboys. That's it.
There's nothing else.
Cowboys.
Just Cowboys.
Not country music. It's Cowboys.
Yes. All right, there he is, Ben Rector.